Gotcha. Gotcha. I want to hit on one more thing before I kind of wrap it up. Now, the gut brain axis is something that we're going to, I'm really excited to do another episode with you to get really dive into how the gut communicates with the brain through the vagus nerve and how they both impact each other simultaneously. But the way that I want to kind of just talk about it briefly today is from a stress standpoint. There's a lot of people who are listening to this who are high achievers. They're go getters. They put a lot of standards and expectations on themselves, and they experience stress on a regular basis. What kind of impact does stress have? Like, is it kill off bacteria species and therefore giving us less microbial diversity? And how exactly does that work? Is that through the gut brain connection? Talk to us a little bit about how stress negatively impacts our gut health.
Yeah, some of this would be stuff we would talk about in the gut brain episode, but also stress to me is like an attack on the gut. When you're chronically stressed, your cortisol levels are high, and high cortisol is going to actually cause changes in the gut microbiome, shifting it towards a more unfavorable group of bacteria. So that in itself is one factor, because once you get those changes in the gut microbiome, then you're going to also get increases in gut permeability. But you also, when you're stressed, that affects vagal tone, and that affects the signaling from the brain down into the gut through the different vagal pathways. And that in itself can reduce the production of enzymes, so you don't digest your food as well, can slow down your digestion. It slows down peristalsis, the rhythmic contractions of the intestines, and it also is going to increase intestinal permeability as well. So anybody who's been stressed can probably relate to the fact, like, you feel your stress in your gut. Sometimes you're so stressed that you might feel nauseous, you lose your appetite, or you're really nervous about something and you've got to go run to the bathroom, and you have loose stool before a test or before a performance or before anything like that, or you have an upset stomach because you have to speak to your boss that day. So everybody knows that there's some connection, like when you're feeling stressed, that you feel it in your gut. So many people do.
There are a lot of people, it seems that some people are stress eaters, some people are stress non-eaters, and definitely stress non-eaters are people that I'm running into more and more. Is that something where when you have that emotional response to stress, for some reason, your body is producing more leptin and it's saying that you're actually full, or is it suppressing ghrelin, or is there anything with ghrelin and leptin that is mixed in with this gut brain access and the lack of hunger?
I think there's a combination of things. And part of it has to do with polyvagal theory and what area of stress, and this gets more into gut brain stuff, but if you're the type that gets stressed and goes into fight or flight, then you might be the type that in that stress, you lose your appetite, because fight or flight, kind of, you don't want to eat when you've got to recruit your your strength and send your blood to your muscles. Then there's the dorsal vagal, which is more characterized by inactivation, like withdrawal, like you might feel a little bit nauseous, but those might be the ones who tend to want to eat more. There might be more comfort eating. So I think there's a combination of things that are happening neurologically through the autonomic nervous system that are affecting how the gut is feeling. And there is a crossover between the production of these peptides like ghrelin and leptin that is in some ways being influenced by the vagus nerve, and it's coming from the enteroendocrine cells in the gut as well. So I think there's a lot of different factors here that are at play that are probably part humoral, so things that would go through the bloodstream and affect the brain, like having leptin, high leptin, low ghrelin, like suppressing appetite. But also, I think a lot of it is coming from the neurological system, from the autonomic nervous system. And depending on what system you activate when you're stressed, you're going to either lose your appetite, which is what happens to me. If I'm highly stressed, lose my appetite. But there are also those moments when, you're more feeling like you just need to eat, like you're stressed and you just need to kind of like stuff yourself. And that makes you feel better, just filling yourself with comfort foods. And that's more of kind of a dorsal vagal response.
Gotcha. Well, super interesting. I'm really pumped to get into some more of that gut brain stuff during the next one, because he has a program that's going to be launching called the Gut Brain Mastery Program that we're going to dive into